On Monday, July 29th, Bruce Kessler and Ben Cobb of KTRU attended an interview with Mike Love of the Beach Boys. We talked about everything and anything, ranging between their show with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young on Sunday to transcendental meditation. The following is a special show containing the music of the Beach Boys and the comments of Mike Love. When asked why the group played for such a short amount of time and why they played only their older songs, Mike replied,
60 minutes on the show. They only want us to play for 1 hour. So we did, and some of the things from Holland are so long, you know, like 5 minutes, Traders, 5 minutes, and a couple of songs are so long that we just, like if we did about 3 of those songs, we had time for about 5 others, you know, in our set, and then we'd be time for encore. So what we try to do is as many songs as we could, and still, well, like we did California Song and all this is that. And 2 songs that were fairly representative of some of the later stuff. And we just tried to do a compositive from early to middle to that sounds before and after. And, of course, all of those older songs are dynamic or something in terms of crowd responses.
Jim Garcio, the producer of the film Electric Glide in Blue, has been playing with the Beach Boys on their current tour. Mike Love explains how Jim joined up with the band.
Well, he wants to produce the Beach Boys, and I think he also wants to have us on a record company that he'll be creating very soon. And he believes that with his organization, his managerial organization and everything, that he can make the Beach Boys the #1 group in the world. Again, by next year. In terms of everything, you know. I mean, we always have been right up there in terms of artistic, you know, kind of, what do you call it? Critical review type, you know, great albums or great music or whatever. But in terms of broad acceptance and everything, it really needs you need a really dynamic record company promotion and all that, because everybody else in the business out there really flogging it and killing themselves trying to be #1 and all that. So he's just taking interest in those managerial and direction kind of things, and he's a very forceful, dynamic person, very intelligent, and I think what he sets out to do, he accomplishes. He has a 3,000-acre ranch in Colorado with a beautiful recording studio and lodges there. He's just quite a dynamic individual.
What about your new album coming out?
Which, the one
Yeah, when I was talking to you this morning about becoming rich and famous.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we'll be doing an album this fall. We've been writing, so we all have hundreds of tunes. When I say hundreds, maybe 20. But I mean, you know, my cousin Brian has several songs, Alan has several, I have several, Dennis writes, and Carl has several. We're going to compile these and do a couple of albums this fall. When we started, our first record was recorded with just a snare drum and a stand-up bass and one guitar. It was called Surfing, and it became a hit, like, very soon. I mean, it was just, you know, played in the air and it was a hit. It was our first record we ever tried, and that was easy. And the next few songs were spontaneous and very easy. I don't know, it's never been difficult for us to record and make music. It's been sort of our nature to do that. You know, we always sang before we were even in Beach Boys, sing Christmas carols at home and stuff like that. My mom would give a big party with all the adults and children. They'd all come, hundreds of them, and I had a big family, you know. So we'd have friends, and we'd all get together, and we'd have, my mom would make a big dinner. Before dinner, we'd practice Christmas carols, because we'd forget them from the last year, you know, so brush up on those, the different parts and all that. And then we'd have dinner, and then we'd walk it off, you know, just take a walk after dinner and go sing Christmas carols. Very nice, you know. But we always sung as a family, and then we performed, and we had recitals and this and that. And, you know, two of my sisters play harp, and we had harp, grand piano, and organ at my house, and the Wilsons had an organ and piano. And so it's just been bear all our lives. And so the musical creative part of it has been spontaneous and very easy for us and very natural and fun. The business aspect of it has been the hard part for us to get a hold of, because mainly it's hard to divide your attention between business and creative things. I mean, it's good to be a specialist or an expert in one and understand it, but do your thing. So we've had some problems with record companies and different things. And it's hard for you to be objective about things, and somebody has to be calling up the record company every day to make sure that they're selling your records as well as they're selling Neil Young or anybody else. So those kind of practical things have been a drag, but the creative and musical part has always been easy and spontaneous.
Speaking of Neil Young, how do you have any feelings one way or the other about being back in the second spot rather than as the mainliners of the show?
I feel like we've gotten a pretty favorable crowd response, and that this is their tour, and they asked us to be on a few dates with them, and we accepted. We didn't have to take that position if we didn't want to.
Are you playing with anybody else? Are you playing with CSNNY on the dates that they happen to coincide with your itinerary? Or?
We played about 6 dates with them. We are playing about 6. Not their whole tour, but in some cities they decided they like,
Yeah.
some.
But are you on a tour of your own?
No, we just came out for these dates with them and Liam Russell, and then in August we have our own tour. August, September, we have an East Coast tour where we do it very nicely.
Mike also discussed his plans for the future and how Transcendental Meditation, TM, has played an important role in the life of the Beach Boys.
When in my writing, I'm doing mostly lyrics all the time. I've got a lot of songs too, but that would be like a personal kind of venture maybe later. But my lyrics change has been towards something more relevant, in terms of helpful or relevant and productive, and in terms of. I don't think it's that relevant to just pick, I was walking through the supermarket and I saw a fly in a potato, it doesn't turn me on, what I get, my criterion for judging what I'm going to write nowadays is, lyrically, is it lasting, is it relevant, and is it positive and uplifting? Because I think there are a million topics you can deal with that are negative and destructive and a drag, but I don't think you need to pollute your psychology, your mind with all that. And music, I've always viewed, should be happy, harmonious, uplifting, and a nice kind of break from your day or whatever it is. It's background music, but that's the focal point of the moment. And we never did get into any negativity stuff, even like it's really heavy, lead type of things. Never did get into any heavy demonstrate, anti-this songs or any of that kind of stuff, because I've always felt that, sure it's easy to sing about that, or it's easy to say anything, but why not, in the few moments you have on a record, do something that's positive or harmonious or good? And that's always been more or less my philosophy, what I'm looking to do. Now, of course, lately, in the last few years, I've been meditating for 6 years, so obviously, science of creative intelligence that Maharishi's been teaching and formulating into a whole systematic study program has influenced my thinking in terms of what is relevant and how to achieve a beneficial outcome for myself and for the world and all that. So so my thinking and my feelings are in line with certain fundamental principles I've learned in the last few years and becoming a teacher of TM. One of them is that, man is not made to suffer, but to live in happiness. And that is sure part of our, we were into that before we met Maharishi, we were having a good time surfing, it was just an enjoyment, searching for greater enjoyment. And so Maharishi taught us TM, and that helped to expand our conscious minds and expand our ability to enjoy and to create and all that. I think that's really what life is all about. You have a few minutes in eternity on Earth, it's a little span of time. And that span of time, I personally never wanted to just open a can of beer and watch my 6 or 8 hours of TV a day and just, leave with the same amount that I came in with in terms of knowledge or understanding. And so when I learned that there was an easy way, it was not a religion or not a philosophy, but a technique to expand your mind and still do what I was doing because I was enjoying it. And that was TM, and that was what we got into 60 years ago. It's been very rewarding, very, very good. So my whole direction, of course, philosophically, as an individual, is towards being as helpful as I can to another person, but not by patching that person out and giving them some money to go get some wine, but on the street or something like that, but by telling as many people, look, we made these records, now do you enjoy them? Right, okay, they're fine, even if you literally didn't, but fine, you can play a record and it's beautiful, it's enjoyable, we can do a show and that's fine, but that doesn't qualitatively improve the level of the life of the person from that day on. I mean, it provides a few moments of enjoyment, and that's really nice. But in terms of really raising the level of a person's life and eliminating negativity, stress, tension, and all of that, that can be done through TM. So I'm very much a promoter of TM as well as I am the Beach Boys.
Recently, Mike Love returned from a course in Switzerland which trained him to teach transcendental meditation, a technique which provides mental and physical rest and expansion of consciousness. Mike discussed transcendental meditation and how the Beach Boys' lives and music have benefited from this practice.
Switzerland this January I went to an advanced teacher's course, ATR they call it, and I wrote a 160-line sonnet, well not sonnet, 160-line poem in iambic septameter, very classic, poem. And I'd never written anything like that. I wrote it just one morning, and it just flowed out. 160 lines and all rhymed. Every beat was perfect. It was really an incredible experience. It was something that I had never done. It was a very classical form of poetry. I'm used to writing for the East Coast girls are made up. I really dig the style. I've done that.
When I first talked to you, you were headlining the show, and it was Springfield that was beneath you. It was their final tour.
Springfield, yeah.
Right.
Those dudes were on stage.
Yeah. Right. And you had just then become interested in TM, and then not too long after, the Beatles, who had become very active, all of a sudden turned their back on it. Did that bother you that they would
Sure, it bothered
pronounce
me.
it so and then do that whole number?
It bothered me plenty. But it
Could you ever
bothered me.
figure out why? Or
Yeah, because it's stupid. Mainly. No, see, they just didn't understand what Maurice was talking about. They were still on a magical mystery tour and doping and stuff like that. They wanted to see phenomena. They asked him, Maurice, can I see a levitating monk and bees and stuff like that? And he's talking about evolved evolution of the world stuff. The stuff that was a little more pertinent, to everyone. And what hurt me really is I saw the 4 guys that could have been a big help to evolution in using their position, and they didn't. I asked Maharishi 2 years ago when I became a teacher if I should quit the group and do something else, and he said no, stay in the group.
When asked who the supporters of TM were, Mike replied,
It's really going on many levels. But the interesting thing is that a lot of the politicians have been approached to support TM, and some of them have done resolutions, but they're very afraid to come out and say they meditate, or they would like to. I talked to Senator Gravel from Alaska. I said, I'd like to talk to you about this TM and about NYU and all that. He was on his way out. He said, well, speak to me after I get reelected. People thought that TM, because of the word transcendental meditation, they thought it was got to be a religion, got to be a spiritualistic group and probably levitating, doing tables and stuff. But it really isn't. It's just a simple mental technique which provides a lot of deep rest